The forest was quiet, save for the gentle rustling of leaves and the soft hum of distant machinery. Hyun Park stood motionless, his eyes scanning the dense green landscape that stretched out before him. The camouflage generator beside him worked, silently, its advanced technology creating an invisible shield around the hidden human settlement. For years, their colony had lived undetected on this distant planet. The Galactic Exploration Corps' advanced scanning technology continuously swept the area, detecting nothing more than indigenous wildlife and typical planetary vegetation. What they didn't know was that beneath the thick forest canopy, a sophisticated human outpost thrived, carefully integrated into the natural environment. Hyun adjusted the neural interface embedded behind his ear, receiving real-time data about the surrounding ecosystem. The colonists had spent decades perfecting their adaptation strategy. They weren't just surviving, they were becoming part of the planet itself. Their shelters were constructed from local materials, their energy systems drew power from natural resources, and their genetic modifications allowed them to withstand the planet's unique environmental challenges. A soft beep from a nearby monitoring station caught his attention. The Zentaran exploration ship was making another planetary scan. Hyun watched the holographic display, a slight smile crossing his face. The aliens' technology, considered the most advanced in the known galaxy, was about to be outsmarted by human ingenuity. The colony consisted of 50 carefully selected individuals. Each person was not just a settler but a specialist. Engineers, biologists, climate experts, and survival technicians. They had been chosen not just for their skills but for their ability to work together, to adapt, and to remain undetected. Young children played quietly in underground learning chambers, their educational systems designed to prepare them for life on this frontier world. They learned survival skills, planetary adaptation techniques, and the art of remaining unnoticed. These weren't ordinary children. They were the first generation of truly adaptive human colonists. Nearby, Jae Kim monitored the communication networks. Sophisticated quantum communication systems allowed them to exchange information without detecting any traditional electromagnetic signals. To any external scanner, their communication would appear as nothing more than random environmental noise. The settlement's design was a masterpiece of ecological camouflage. Buildings were grown rather than constructed, using genetically modified organisms that could blend seamlessly with the surrounding forest. Solar collection happened through leaf-like structures that looked completely natural. Water systems were underground, heat signatures were dispersed, and waste was immediately recycled into the ecosystem. Hyun remembered the rigorous training they had undergone. Years of preparation, genetic modification, and technological development had led to this moment. They weren't just colonists. They were pioneers of a new form of human expansion, silent, invisible, adaptive. Another scan from the Zentaran ship passed overhead. Hyun watched the holographic display, knowing that once again they would detect nothing unusual. Just another planet, just another forest, just wildlife. But beneath the trees, humanity was writing a new chapter of its existence, a chapter of survival, of adaptation, of becoming something more than just another species trying to conquer a new world. They were learning to exist, to blend, to become part of the very ecosystem they inhabited. As the day progressed, the settlement continued its quiet existence. Workers maintained complex underground systems. Scientists studied local flora and fauna. Children learned and played, all while remaining completely undetected by the advanced scanning technologies that passed overhead. Hyun Park turned back to his monitoring station. Another day of silent colonization was underway. The Zentarans would never know what was happening right under their sophisticated sensors. Humanity had found a new way to explore, to survive, to thrive. And this was just the beginning. The forest continued to rustle. The machines hummed softly. And beneath the green canopy, a human settlement breathed quietly, waiting, watching, and slowly becoming one with their new home. Jae Kim sat in the dimly lit monitoring room, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that seemed to float in the air. The Zentaran exploration ship continued its planetary scans, completely unaware of the technological trap being set around them. Every time their advanced sensors swept across the forest, something peculiar happened. The data would return incomplete, scrambled, or simply show nothing but wildlife. What the aliens didn't realize was that the human settlement had developed a complex system of technological deception. It wasn't just about hiding, it was about actively misleading any potential observers. The neural interfaces of the colonists worked in perfect synchronization, creating a network that could manipulate incoming scan data in real time. A young technician named Min approached Jay, her eyes bright with excitement. "The last scan was perfect," she whispered. "They didn't detect a single unusual signal." Her hands moved quickly, adjusting frequency modulators that broke down and reconstructed incoming scan data. The Zentaran scanning technology was considered the most advanced in the known galaxy. It could typically penetrate multiple layers of planetary surfaces, detect microscopic changes in environmental conditions, and identify even the smallest traces of intelligent life. But here, on this seemingly ordinary planet, something was different. Jay remembered the years of preparation. Their team had studied Zentaran technology for decades, understanding every nuance of their scanning systems. They had developed adaptive algorithms that could predict and counter each scanning frequency. What appeared to be random technological interference was actually a carefully orchestrated defense mechanism. Underground, complex quantum computers worked continuously. They didn't just block signals, they created elaborate false readings. If a scan detected heat signatures, the system would immediately generate environmental data that looked completely natural. Electromagnetic emissions were dispersed and mimicked natural planetary energy patterns. The children of the colony were trained from birth to understand this technological dance. They learned how to move without creating detectable vibrations, how to use personal devices that could instantly scramble any incoming scanning attempts. It was more than technology. It was a way of life. Outside, the forest seemed peaceful. Local wildlife moved through the trees, unaware of the technological battle happening around them. Birds chirped, small creatures scurried, and the wind rustled, leaves all perfectly normal, all completely misleading. Jay watched as another Zentaran scan passed overhead. On the display, nothing unusual appeared. Just another planetary survey, just another routine mission. But beneath the surface, humanity was playing a complex game of technological hide-and-seek. The colony's survival depended on this deception. They knew that discovery could mean destruction. The Zentaran Exploration Corps was known for its ruthless approach to potential competing species. If they discovered a hidden human settlement, the response would be swift and devastating. Min pointed to a complex algorithm on the screen. "Look," she said. "We've just redirected their primary scanning beam. They'll spend hours analyzing completely fake data." Her fingers moved with precision, creating layers of technological illusion. Communication between colony members happened through quantum entanglement systems that left no traceable signals. Their energy consumption was designed to mimic natural planetary radiation. Even their waste processing systems were engineered to blend perfectly with the local ecosystem. As hours passed, the Zentaran ship continued its survey, growing increasingly confused by the contradictory data it received. Something was happening on this planet, but their advanced technologies couldn't quite understand what. Jay smiled. Another successful day of technological deception was coming to an end. The humans had turned invisibility into an art form, a complex dance of technology and environmental adaptation that would keep them safe from discovery. The forest continued to breathe. Machines hummed softly underground, and the Zentaran ship sailed overhead, seeing nothing, understanding less, completely fooled by humanity's most sophisticated technological trick, another layer of their silent. Colonization was complete. The forest suddenly went silent. Su Choi felt the change before anyone else did. Her neural interface picked up the first signs of alien ground movement. heavy mechanical steps crushing local vegetation, unfamiliar energy signatures disrupting the natural electromagnetic patterns. Zentaran scout units moved carefully, their metallic exoskeletons gleaming with advanced technological enhancements. They believed this was a routine planetary exploration, expecting nothing more than routine wildlife encounters. Their weapons systems were primed, scanning devices active, completely unaware of the human presence watching them. Sue's team was already in position. They wore adaptive camouflage suits that could instantly change color and texture, matching the surrounding forest environment perfectly. These weren't ordinary military uniforms. They were living, breathing technological marvels that could become almost invisible within seconds. The first Zentaran scout stepped into a carefully prepared zone. Microsensors embedded in the ground instantly analyzed his movement, calculating precise response strategies. Sue watched through her neural link as the trap began to unfold. Suddenly, the ground beneath the alien scout team began to shift. Not dramatically, but subtly, just enough to create confusion. Holographic projections created multiple false movement signatures, making it impossible for the aliens to determine the real threat. The Zentaran's advanced scanning equipment started malfunctioning, showing conflicting data streams. 3 human defenders moved silently, their weapons transforming and reconfiguring faster than the alien sensors could track. Each weapon was a marvel of adaptive technology, capable of changing form, energy signature, and attack pattern within milliseconds. What looked like a simple rifle could become a precision energy weapon or a close combat device in an instant. The Zentaran commander realized something was wrong when his first 2 scout units disappeared from communication networks. One moment they were there, reporting a standard planetary survey. The next, complete silence. Their sophisticated tracking systems showed nothing but random environmental data. Sue gave a subtle hand signal. The first wave of defense was complete. The aliens would be confused, disoriented, trying to understand what was happening. Human technology was about to show its true potential. Adaptive nanomaterial shields suddenly surrounded the remaining Zentaran units. These weren't traditional barriers. They were living, responsive defense systems that could absorb, redirect, and neutralize energy weapons. The alien technology found itself completely outmatched by human innovation. The forest itself seemed to become a weapon. Carefully engineered plant systems released localized electromagnetic pulses that interfered with alien communication systems. What the Zentarans thought was random environmental interference was actually a sophisticated defensive network. Young human defenders, trained from birth for this exact scenario, moved with incredible precision. Their neural interfaces allowed for near instantaneous communication and tactical coordination. Each movement was calculated, each response predetermined through complex simulation systems. The Zentaran commander realized they were facing something completely unexpected. These weren't primitive colonists. These weren't even standard military defenders. This was something entirely different, a species that had turned adaptation into an art form of survival and defense. Weapons that should have been devastating became useless. Communication systems went dark. Scanning technologies detected nothing but random environmental data. The Zentaran invasion force was being systematically neutralized without understanding how or why. Sue watched the final stages of the confrontation. No human would be killed today. No direct violent confrontation would occur. They would simply disappear, leaving the aliens confused and defeated by their own technological limitations. As quickly as the confrontation began, it ended. The Zentaran units retreated, their communication systems scrambled, their understanding of the planet completely shattered. They had come expecting a simple survey mission and found something they could not comprehend. The forest returned to its previous state. Birds began singing again. Small creatures resumed their activities. Nothing suggested the complex technological battle that had just occurred. Humanity had made its first unexpected statement. We are here. We are different. And we are not to be underestimated. Jin Lee stood at the central command station watching the holographic displays that showed the aftermath of the recent confrontation. The Zentaran exploration team was regrouping, trying to understand what had just happened. Little did they know humanity was about to reveal its true technological potential. The colony's research team had been preparing for this moment for decades. Years of secret development, hidden from galactic eyes, had produced technologies that would shock even the most advanced alien civilizations. Jin knew this was more than just a defensive operation. This was a demonstration of human innovation. The first wave of technological revelation began with communication systems. Where the Zentarans used traditional electromagnetic signals, humans had developed quantum entanglement communication networks that could transmit information instantaneously across impossible distances. Their communication was undetectable, unhackable, and completely beyond the comprehension of the alien explorers. Adaptive nanomaterials started to become visible. What initially looked like simple environmental structures began to shift and change. Entire sections of the human settlement could reconfigure themselves in moments, changing from defensive structures to communication hubs, from living spaces to advanced research centers. A young researcher named Yuna activated the first major demonstration. Massive holographic projections appeared around the Zentaran ship, showing complex technological schematics that made their own systems look primitive. These weren't just displays, they were active technological blueprints that showcased humanity's incredible innovative capacity. The Zentaran commander watched in disbelief as human technology seemed to defy every known law of physics. Energy systems that could generate power from seemingly nothing. Adaptive biological interfaces that could heal and modify living organisms at a cellular level. Communication systems that could predict and translate complex linguistic patterns before they were even fully formed. Jin's team had developed something truly revolutionary. A technological ecosystem that was more than just a collection of devices. It was a living, breathing network of innovation that could adapt, learn, and respond faster than any known technological system in the galaxy. Genetic modification technologies revealed themselves. Humans could now adapt to environments that would kill most species within moments. Their bodies could reconfigure at a cellular level, protect themselves from radiation, heal from injuries that would be fatal to others, and interface directly with complex technological systems. The Zentaran exploration team began to realize they were dealing with something completely unexpected. These weren't just colonists. These weren't even just advanced engineers. This was a species that had turned technological development into an art form of survival and innovation. Quantum computing systems that the humans had developed could solve complex mathematical problems in milliseconds. Their artificial intelligence networks were so advanced that they could predict potential technological developments centuries in advance. What the Zentarans considered cutting-edge technology looked like primitive toys in comparison. Energy weapons demonstrated by the human defenders could change their frequency and power output instantly. Defensive systems could predict and neutralize incoming attacks before they were even launched. The very environment seemed to be a weapon, a defense and a communication system all at once. Yuna activated the final demonstration. A massive holographic display showed centuries of human technological development, from simple mechanical tools to complex quantum systems. The progression was so rapid, so unexpected, that the Zentaran observers could barely comprehend what they were seeing. The colony's children watched the demonstration with casual interest. For them, this level of technological innovation was normal. They had been born into a world where adaptation and technological growth were as natural as breathing. Jin Li smiled. This was more than just a show of technological power. This was a statement to the galaxy. Humanity was not just another species to be categorized or conquered. They were innovators, survivors, a species capable of turning the impossible into reality. As the holographic displays faded, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The Zentaran exploration team sat in stunned silence, their understanding of technological progress completely shattered. The Zentaran exploration leader, Commander Ralk, stared at the data streams with increasing confusion. Everything they knew about planetary colonization, technological development, and species classification was being challenged in ways they could never have imagined. Communication with their central command became increasingly difficult. The human colony had demonstrated technological capabilities that seemed to rewrite every known rule of galactic exploration. What began as a routine planetary survey had transformed into something far more significant, a complete reassessment of humanity's place in the universe. Reports from the ground team were fragmented, almost unbelievable. They spoke of a human settlement that was more than just a colony. It was a living, breathing, technological ecosystem. Adaptive structures that could change and reconfigure. Communication systems that defied current understanding. Biological modifications that allowed humans to survive in conditions that should have been impossible. The colony's leadership watched the Zentaran response with calculated patience. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was an opportunity to demonstrate humanity's true potential. Years of hidden development, of careful preparation, were now bearing fruit. Young researchers in the human settlement analyzed the Zentaran reactions. Their neural interfaces processed the alien communication channels, understanding the growing confusion and fear. Each moment revealed more about the galactic power dynamics than centuries of traditional exploration. Commander Ralk reviewed the collected data repeatedly. The humans had not just defended themselves, they had demonstrated a level of technological innovation that made the Zentaran Exploration Corps look like primitive observers. Adaptive technologies, quantum communication systems, genetic modifications that allowed instant environmental adaptation. These were not just advanced technologies. They were a complete reimagining of what a species could be. The diplomatic channels opened, but this was not a traditional communication. The humans presented their capabilities not as a threat, but as a potential collaboration. They showed technological solutions to problems that had challenged galactic civilizations for centuries. Energy production methods, environmental adaptation techniques, communication systems that could bridge impossible distances. What surprised the Zentarans most was the humans' approach. They weren't aggressive, they weren't seeking conquest. They were offering a new perspective, a new way of understanding technological development and species interaction. Children in the human colony continued their daily activities, seemingly unaware of the massive paradigm shift happening around them. For them, this level of technological innovation was normal. They had been raised to see adaptation and growth as natural processes. The galactic databases would need complete revision. Humanity could no longer be classified as a developing species. They were something entirely new. A civilization that could adapt, innovate, and transform faster than any known technological system. Commander Ralk made a decision that would change galactic exploration forever. The report to Central Command would not be a standard survey document. It would be a complete reassessment of humanity's potential. No longer would humans be seen as a minor species to be categorized or controlled. The colony's leadership understood the significance of this moment. This was more than a victory. This was a declaration to the galaxy. Humanity had arrived, and they were ready to redefine what was possible. Communication networks began to buzz with the news. Other galactic civilizations would soon learn about the unexpected capabilities of this small human settlement. What had been hidden would now be revealed. The forest around the human colony continued to breathe. Machines hummed softly. The adaptive structures shifted almost imperceptibly. Another day of silent, powerful existence continued. But everything had changed. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not just another species to be studied. They were innovators, survivors, a civilization capable of turning the impossible into reality. The paradigm had shifted, and nothing would be the same again.